I'm taking a look at where the money is flowing. Sometimes all you got to do is follow the money. In order, your most popular wagers according to the money taken by our friends at Caesars Sportsbook. Gonzaga coming off that loss on Saturday, 4-1 to win the whole thing. That number, likely to move. Kentucky at 8-1. Auburn 10-1, some value there as we get deeper into it. Duke, perhaps your new number one at 14-1. All right, these are two men who have earned our trust by patting our pockets day in and day out. Sportsline analyst and the best here in the Big Ten, Tim Doyle, alongside the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White. Guys, you're going to have to sell me on all these programs because I'm not buying right now. Gonzaga falls to St. Mary's on Saturday by 10. They shoot at 36% from the field. They play the weakest conference schedule of just about anyone in the top 25. Kenny White, let's start right there with the Zags. Why should I offer them an ounce of my trust right now?
Yeah, well, the domination of this program over the last 2 years really, puts them up in the upper echelon of college basketball, and they're still that good. I think that Chet Holmgren probably played his worst game of the year in that game last night that I watched against St. Mary's. But that's always a tough place to play, and it is the dog days of February. So there was going to be a clunker. Gonzaga, they went undefeated last year, the championship game, and then they lose the championship game. And they knew, going undefeated for the season is not going to win you a national championship. So they will be focused at the right time. They are the best team in college basketball. I am 6 points better than anybody still in the game.
Okay.
They're the one team I'm going to trust the Zags to win it all.
I'm going to be on the other side. It's not because they don't have the talent to win it all, but you go through the past performances like you're looking at a daily racing form, which brings me back, Joe, to when Kenny and I first locked eyes in Los Angeles at the Super Bowl. I think they're bust because they've never won. But here we are at Santa Anita. I mean, look at this. I mean, that guy right there, we don't even know what he did, but we're sitting at a table. There's Kenny right there with the white shirt on. Like, this is when we're living life, drinking Bloody Marys. Kenny's still waiting for his Reuben that he ordered. Let's just say the service wasn't great, but the beers kept on flowing with the Bloody Marys. But I don't know, because here's why I think they're a bust. You're paying it 4-1. You got to be getting 8-1, 9-1 with this team. Everyone's betting them because they know, Timmy with the dirty mustache and Chet Holmgren. Like, there's a comfort level. But Mark Few's never won a national championship. So Kenny, you know what I did? I gave Kenny a winner there, Musso, at the track.
Okay.
He bet it. I ended up jumping off of it. And then he went over to the window and just collected the money and then didn't say anything. I go, oh, do you have that winner? He goes, oh, yeah, I had that winner. Thanks.
I just don't know how you seat those two guys on turn one. That's finish line talent. Box A1, if you're asking me. We're going to have to put in a couple calls on the Reuben and the seating situation, guys. Kentucky, meanwhile, got to turn our attention there. Falls on Saturday as well, but the odds makers had this one dialed in. They were catching points against a tough Arkansas team, 2 at tip. That pushes. Outside shooting, secondary scoring seem to be legitimate problems right now for Coach Cal's squad. Tim, you trusting or busting this group?
Musso, I actually thought about busting all these guys. I felt the same way about you. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Where do you see the past performances with teams that you go, oh, I get really excited about this? I'm going to trust this squad just because I think you're getting some value here with Kentucky. They flipped the switch against LSU. Oscar Tshiebwe, more rebounds than anybody else in college basketball. He is just relentless going to the cup. They got athletes galore. They got some veteran transfers that I like. I don't love the odds, Kenny, but I think you can go bust with everybody in college hoops. They've all had letdowns this year, but I'll trust Kentucky here.
Yeah, there's so many good teams, and you're right. I looked at these odds, and that's what I thought. I was going to bust everybody in this bracket, and the only reason I went with the Zags, trusting them, is I just think they're that good. I think they're going to be a 5 or 6 point favorite over anybody they play late in the tournament. I'm busting on Kentucky. I don't trust. I have the 10th best team in college basketball, so they're there. They're very talented. If they win it, will it surprise me? No, because Oscar Tshiebwe is one of the best players in the country, and they've got talent surrounding them. Washington and Wheeler came back yesterday. They're a very good basketball team, but I can't trust them at 8-1.
Yeah, 30-18 for Tshiebwe in that loss on Saturday. Auburn, meanwhile, suffered their 4th loss of the season on Saturday on the road at Tennessee. Kenny, they've lost 3 consecutive away games, and even when they occupied that top spot, none of the advanced metrics saw them as a true number one. The computers don't necessarily trust them. What about the big brain of Kenny White?
Yeah, I think they're a very good team as well. Bruce Pearl's put together a good club. Love Walker Kessler, the transfer. Jabari Smith, amazing players. And they're great at home, you're right, but they don't play at home when they play in the NCAA tournament. So I have right now Auburn, the 12th best team in college basketball. They're there. They're very talented, but I never had them anywhere near number one. And at 10-1, I'm going to bust on Oregon. They're on Auburn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to trust them just because I think Jabari Smith's going to be the first pick, and I think he's immensely talented. We've seen Bruce Pearl even throw back to his old days at, Milwaukee. At the time, it was Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Go out there and win in the tournament. I think this is a team that has Final Four capabilities, and then once you get there, I guess you could hedge and start kind of, hedging your bets if they get that far, especially if you have 10-1. I just think they have a superstar talent. They have the number one pick in the draft. And when you look at teams that win in March, you got to have NBA players, and they have a very special NBA player. So I'll trust them at 10-1.
All right, how about a team that won this weekend, guys? The Dukies hanging 97 on Syracuse in a 20-point victory, improving to 25-4 on the season. TD, two-part question here. Should Duke be at the top in the next AP poll come Monday, and have they earned your trust?
I don't really care about the AP poll. It's just great fodder. Oh, this team's number one, that team's number one. But you go through the ACC right now, that is not a very deep league. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? North Carolina's got double-digit conference wins, and they're like life and death to get into the tournament. So here's the deal. It's Coach K's last year. So, there's an emotion there. And let's just say it's good for the brand when Duke is going out there and winning games, especially in March. So, Paolo's an amazing talent. He's a top 3 pick. He can go inside and out. He plays at an amazing pace. That's what I like. He never looks out of control. But the fact that there is an emotional thing here, that plays a role. Mm-hmm. So I think that Duke's a team that I do trust at 14-1. The only thing I don't trust with Duke is, Musso, tell me how Coach K has never had a gray hair. I just don't trust what's going on up there. Kenny never had a gray hair. I mean, I don't know what the little shoe polish up there or something. He's never had a gray hair all these years. I do it myself. I get a little gray over here. I get a little Paulie walnuts. I do it to myself. So,
brush it
Coach K, I'm not offending you. I'm just letting you know. No gray hairs. I find it pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good regimen. Every day he takes care of those gray hairs, no doubt. Very disciplined, very disciplined. We know that. But you know what? Coach K, hey, great career, but he's never been one of my favorite coaches in college basketball. I think the pressure will be all over his team the entire tournament. That pressure is enormous. When your coach is going out and you're trying to win for him, and that's they're just not. I think the focus is going to be awfully tough. So I'm going to bust on this team. They're very good. I'm now in my top 5. So it was really hard for me to say bust here, but I really think the pressure is going to be tough. And I love Tim's new name for the AP pool or something like that.
I think there was a bit of a Freudian slip there. It was the AP poll. Yeah. I think is what he went to there. I mean, we're not going to put it on the corkboard by any means here, but we might have to run that tape back at some point on our guy Tim Doyle. Let's talk about Purdue, which is a team I know TD's been hot on all season long. The way the chips fell on Saturday, Purdue could have likely jumped back to the top spot, but they lose as well. They lose to a Michigan State team that couldn't figure their left foot from the right in the month of February. But Kenny, the roster's complete. Sometimes they play much smaller than that roster reads. What's your biggest concern here, and do they still have your trust?
They still have my trust. Yeah, this is the number one offensive team in the country. The defense I'm concerned about. Can they play defense? And that's going to, you have to shut somebody down. You're not going to be able to outscore everybody in the tournament, but I think they're good enough to run it into the Final Four and then go from there, and hopefully that defense will figure it out. Love Jaden Ivey and the big guys inside. Edey and Williams are just amazing, and Stepanovic with the quick release, the three-point shoot. And also, he's got a lot of skills, too. He can drive to the basket as well. He's not just an outside shooter, so there is so many. They go so deep. They can go 10 deep. That's another big value to this team. So I trust Purdue.
Yeah, I agree. There's 3 games this year that Purdue has lost on game-winning shots. Indiana made a game-winning shot. Rutgers made that half-court shot. And then yesterday, Michigan State made a game-winning shot. I don't know. I mean, that's sports, right? I mean, Tom Brady would have, less Super Bowls if one play was different or a couple of guys missed a couple of field goals. But you turn around those 3 games. I think this is the best team in college basketball. I'm betting them this year. I'm very close to Gene Katie. Came to my wedding, gave me a cash gift. I think this is the year they finally get over the hump, and Matt Painter cuts down the nets. I remember when Matt Painter's hair was all black, Now it's all gray. See, once you go all gray, Musso, you can't come back to the black. That's what I'm telling Akeem Dermish. I'm watching the gray kind of seep in on him. You got to nip it right now.
Hey, Joe Sr. was jet black until about 60, and then I woke up one morning and he had the full, it was white. It was full. So you got to make that decision, and you got to be concise about it. If you're going to commit to the shoe polish, you go full Coach K. All right, we've broken it all down. It's been trusted, it's been busted, but I need you to take me to the place, guys, where value meets likelihood. Tim Doyle, your best bet to win the title this season is who?
Yeah, I think the Purdue Boilermakers get the money. Gene Katie had some great squads there with Big Dog Robinson and Brian Cardinal, who was losing his hair back in the 90s, but this is a team that has a top 5 pick in Jaden Ivey. They have depth. They have experience. I think the big key with them is going to be guard play. Can they get consistent point guard play, or at least someone to man that position? But 3 games they have lost on last-second shots, Kenny, and I feel like I'm getting some pretty good odds. Give me Purdue.
Yeah, mine's really looking good now. This is a top 5 team. Illinois, they will be there in the long run. And Andre Carbello, who I think is maybe their best player, has had an injury-plagued season. He's not logging the minutes he's going to. Excuse me. I get all choked up about this team. I think they're just that good. Coburn, one of the best players in the country. Alonzo Plummer, Trent Fraser, Granderson. They're loaded, and the one thing they do play is defense. And what Carbello's playing 30 minutes a game, this is a top 5 team, 35-1. Go get them right now.
That's some value right there. Definitely worth a sprinkle on the ILLINI. Kenny, that's his favorite play, 35-1, Illinois to win it all. Tim likes Purdue at 11-1. There are your trusts and busts along the right side as well. Both of our guys saying a lot of the similar things, but assigning different levels of trust. They say trust no one. Just play those picks.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.